Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast Live, Wednesday night edition. Yes. And it's me, Bruce, and of course, the host of the Format Podcast. And I'll be running with you solo tonight, but we still going to make it happen. So, what I want to do here is give a few minutes, let some people filter into the chat. Once that gets going, then we will, we'll do what we do. And as you can see by the rundown there, we'll of course do our Week 16 pick'em. We'll talk about the quarterback situation in Atlanta, and then we will talk about the NBA All-Star Game format before we get out of here. But prior to doing that, of course, I'm going to give you my spiel, and then we'll come back and we'll see what we got going. If you're here on YouTube and you haven't already, please make sure you go ahead, click that like, that subscribe, that notification bell. Make sure you're kept up to date whenever we drop new content on the channel. If you want the audio-only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in The Format Podcast, and we should come right up. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you give us that like, that 5-star review, and drop a comment. All that stuff helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. And finally, make sure you write it down, put it in your phone, set an alarm, do whatever you got to do to remember. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. we are live here on the Format Podcast, and we'll give you the opportunity to call in, talk to us, get at me. I love it. I can't wait. So yeah, it's just gonna be me tonight, and we're gonna have some good sports talk regardless. As I mentioned, we're gonna do our Week 16 pick'em, so you guys have an idea, and you can call me out, of course, if I'm wrong on the games that I pick. But we'll see how that goes, and we will talk about Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, and then again, new NBA All-Star Game format. But in the interim, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a couple minutes, see if anybody gets in the chat, any more people get in the chat, and then we will get started. So we'll just hang out here for a couple minutes. Excuse me. 129. Not bad. All right. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started, and whoever's going to come in, I guess they'll filter in over time during the duration of the show. So let's get right to it. All right. First, I wanted to start, of course, with the Week 16 pick'em. This is what we do on Wednesday night. So Transformers not here for that, but it's okay because you got me, and we will make it happen. So let's go ahead. Pulling up the games, the schedule for this weekend, which I thought I had up, but I must have changed the page. So pardon me on that, and we'll go from there. So give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. All right, here we go. So let's start with the Thursday night game tomorrow night. And I'll tell you what, I think Transformer and I had discussed this previously. In previous seasons, we were hearing a lot about how bad the Thursday night games were, but the NFL and Amazon have done a tremendous job to really give us some quality matchups on Thursday night this year. So very impressed by that. And the latest iteration of that is going to be divisional rival Los Angeles Chargers and Denver Broncos. It's going to be a really good game. And I'm not really sure at all where to lean on this one. You have two outstanding coaches, obviously Jim Harbaugh, national champion at Michigan last year, and a former Super Bowl participant with the 49ers when he was in the NFL previously, and former Super Bowl champion, with the New Orleans Saints, Sean Payton. So that's going to be a good one. You've got rookie Bo Nix and just a Denver team that seems to be playing pretty well. I'm not going to say they're humming. They're still 9-5, but they're well beyond what anyone expected of them this season. And so I'm looking at this game and I'm wondering because not San Francisco. I'm sorry. I was about to say San Francisco and I was about to say San Diego. But the Los Angeles Chargers, they don't have a lot of firepower offensively. They still, I believe, have the number one scoring defense in the league. But last week, they kind of got exposed. And now you're in a situation where Baker Mayfield and the Bucs came in there and put 40 on them last week. So maybe the template is out on how to beat them now. Sean Payton's offense is not nearly that explosive. They're not a downfield passing attack to that level like the Bucs are. And again, Bo Nix is only a rookie, but they're playing really well. The Broncos are also playing really good defense, and that's something that you can always hang your hat on. That's something that travels. They are number 10 in the league in total defense, so you can count on that. I'm going to keep it simple here, and I'm going to go with the Broncos. I just think that the Chargers just need more help offensively. They don't have enough. It's one of those situations where you got Herbert, but they need more weapons for him on the outside, and they probably need to, if they can, somehow figure out a way to get a really good running back out of this draft, because that's what Jim Harbaugh likes to do. That's the way he plays it. But right now, the offense is not good enough, even though the defense is much improved from last season. So, yeah, I'm going to go in the Thursday night matchup. I am going to go with the Denver Broncos. All right, moving on to Saturday. And I'll tell you, Saturday is kind of frustrating for me because you have the college football playoff on Saturday, as well as you've got two matchups in the NFL getting down towards the end of the season. But I will tell you this, if Notre Dame loses in the college football playoff on Friday night, I will probably be a lot less inclined to be too concerned about the college football playoff, but I don't think that's likely. Regardless, let's get to it. Houston and Kansas City. That's a tough one. I think the biggest key here is whether or not Patrick Mahomes is going to play in this game. That's Saturday at 1 p.m. I think the biggest key again here is whether or not Patrick Mahomes plays in this game. And even still, Kansas City is 13-1 on the season. So they keep finding ways to win, but they're winning ugly. And Houston, that is a young, aggressive defense that DeMeco Ryans calls. Now, is he going to be able to out-scheme Andy Reid, one of the greatest offensive masters, one of the greatest offensive play callers in history? Maybe not. But I just think that if you have a Mahomes that either isn't playing or is severely hobbled, you have a legitimate chance to beat Kansas City. So I'm going to go with Houston here, pulling the upset, which could make things very interesting in terms of seeding in the AFC playoffs going forward. Next up, the 4:00 game, and this is arguably the game of the day. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens. And so my heart wants to say the Baltimore Ravens, and history tells us that Lamar Jackson does not particularly play well against the Pittsburgh Steelers, but Lamar is coming off another one of those Lamar games last week, right? He had more touchdown passes and incompletions. He had 5 touchdowns and 4 incompletions last week, so he totally lit it up. And now, don't get me wrong, that was a very bad team they were playing in the New York Giants. It's not that serious. What's good, brother? Good to see you, man. Yeah, that was a very bad team they were playing last week in the New York Giants. But Baltimore did what you should do when you play a bad team, and that's you should stomp them out, right? Don't give them any hope. Come out, close them out early. Lamar Jackson played incredibly, and I think this is going to be a situation where Lamar really wants to prove it because he has a poor career record against Pittsburgh. He doesn't generally play well against them. Didn't play well against them last time, but played well enough to win, even though they didn't. I think what's our field goal? Baltimore's field goal kicker. He missed 2 field goals and an extra point in that game, and that would have been the difference. Okay, thanks, Bruce. Patrick Mahomes practiced in full. It still hasn't been announced whether he's going to go. I know he wants to go, but if I'm the Chiefs, I wouldn't have him play. I wouldn't. I'd just have him, sit it out, make sure he's 100%, then bring him back. But anyway, yeah. So Justin Tucker, in the last game against the Steelers, missed 2 field goals and 1 extra point, and that would have been the difference in the game, even though Lamar didn't play well. And then we saw last week against the Eagles that Pittsburgh can be had, because you look at Russell Wilson. He has done a very good job for this team since taking over the reins of starting quarterback, and he's definitely increased the viability of their downfield passing attack. But as Russell Wilson throughout his career, he's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's not outstanding in the middle, right? So if Baltimore if they can hold it down and not make terrible mistakes on the back end, they got a chance, because now you force Russell Wilson into playing the intermediate game, which is not his game. And if you can get him out of the pocket, he's not nearly as mobile as he used to be. So you have to find a way to attack him, whether it's creative blitz schemes. Whether it's creative blitz schemes or not, then you'll see. But you have to find a way to attack him. Baltimore still has a number 1 rushing defense in the league. Pittsburgh, though, has a number 4 rush defense in the league. So Todd Monken is going to have to do what he doesn't do generally in big games, and that is show a commitment to the running game, because we have seen it time and time again that you may be able to control Derrick Henry for 3.5 quarters. Eventually, he's going to break one, but you can't get away from the run game too soon. And so Pittsburgh's offense isn't particularly explosive. So as long as you can keep Russ from going bombs away on you, you got a legitimate chance. And we saw in the last game against Pittsburgh, Baltimore was able to control them for the most part. Neither team scored a touchdown. Baltimore scored a touchdown at the very end, but Pittsburgh didn't score a touchdown. But the point is this. I'm picking Baltimore in this game. I don't think Lamar is going to have one of those Lamar games, but it doesn't matter what type of game he has as long as they win the game. And that's what I'm picking Baltimore to do, and split the season series. And that is huge in terms of positioning for the AFC North, the division crown. Because then, if Baltimore gets a division, either way, whoever gets a division crown is going to get at least one home field game in the playoffs in the opening round. So we'll see. But I got Baltimore winning this one at Baltimore. It's going to be a tough game, as it always is. I like to call these chin strap games. Buckle up your chin strap, because you know what it's going to be. All right. Sunday, New York and Atlanta. So I think this is a perfect spot, and this may have been well designed and well thought out by the Atlanta Falcon coaching staff. And on the next topic, we'll talk about the Falcons quarterback change. But to briefly touch on that, Kirk Cousins has been benched after playing terribly over the last 5 games or so. And as a result, number 8 overall pick Michael Penix Jr., who I had as my QB1 coming out last year. A lot of people didn't feel me on that, but I believe that I thought he was clearly the best quarterback coming out. But anyway, that's a different story. Regardless, he will get his first regular season start in the NFL against the New York Giants. And that's perfect, because the Giants aren't too good a team, as we saw last week. So if there is ever a time to get in as a rookie and have the opportunity to make some plays and have some success, it would be against the Giants. So I'm going with the Falcons here, which is, I think, setting up a very interesting run down the home stretch for the NFC South with Tampa Bay and Atlanta. I think it's going to be very good. But in this game, I'm going with the Falcons. All right, next. Chicago and Detroit. This game right here will really tell you how bad Chicago is and just how poorly run and organized they are, because I still have Detroit winning this game. And I have them winning this game despite having 18 guys on IR. Like, there's not too many teams that have the talent and the coaching to overcome such a brutal injury-ridden season. They've got 18 guys on injured reserve, but I still have Detroit winning this game. So I'm going to keep it simple as that. I just don't think Chicago has enough. And I know these guys are all professionals, but I don't know, maybe at this point, maybe some of these guys are rolling over and just giving up. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not, but you get the feeling, and you see it sometimes. That that's kind of what happens at a certain point in the season when everything looks lost. You're eliminated from the playoffs. You don't have much to play for. Now, realistically, as a professional, you're playing to put good tape out there. But other than that, not too much. And a lot of guys are just like, you know what? 1, 2, 3, Cancun. No excuses for Detroit. I didn't make any excuses for Detroit. I picked Detroit in this game. I don't understand why. What do you mean no excuses for Detroit? We're talking about a team that has 18 people on injured reserve. Like, how many teams can overcome that? I can't see it. It's not about excuses. It's just like that's almost impossible to deal with. All right, next up, Cleveland and Cincinnati. So I am going to go here. I think Jameis got benched. I don't know if he's starting this game or not, but I know he got benched last time after throwing another 3 picks. Oh, I got you, Bruce. I got you. After throwing another 3 picks, Jameis, man, he's got all the talent in the world. He's got all the physical tools. He understands the game. He's been around for a while. I think he's a Heisman Trophy winner too. But regardless, he's got all of these things, but he has just, for whatever reason, terrible judgment throughout his career. And it's not even like Brett Favre had terrible judgment too. I think he's the all-time leader in interceptions. But Brett Favre is also a guy that made so many amazing plays that you could live with the picks. And Jameis Winston is not that, right? So anyway, I'm going to go with Cincinnati here in the AFC North. They're still not mathematically eliminated, and obviously they'll need a lot of help in order to be able to make the playoffs at this juncture in the season. But Joe Burrow is playing out of his mind, and so is Jamar Chase, looking for the triple crown, leading the league in receiving touchdowns, receiving yards, and catches, and he'll probably get it. But imagine if they could somehow sneak into the playoffs, like what that would say for Joe Burrow. So he's a competitor, I'm sure that he is. He and the rest of that team is trying to go out there and have success. And I don't think Cleveland has much of anything left, man. It's tough. All right. A lot of divisional matchups this week. Always is getting down to the end of the season. Tennessee and Indianapolis. Do you think Jonathan Taylor is going to want to make up for that terrible gaffe last week, dropping the ball before getting into the end zone? That's so weird. I've been watching Jonathan Taylor since his 3 years at Wisconsin, and since he's been in the league, and I've never seen him do that before. That was a weird mental mistake, but still one of my favorite running backs. But this game is such a toss-up, man. You got two bad teams. Anthony Richardson is just terrible. Will Levis is just terrible. Like, you don't have good quarterback play on either side. At least you have a decent running back there in Indianapolis. Both defenses are suspect. I don't think either one is particularly good. So I'm just gonna flip a coin here. It's a pick 'em. I'm gonna go Indianapolis because I want to root for my guy Jonathan Taylor. I know I'm supposed to keep it objective, but like that's all I can come up with two bad teams. All right. Rams and the Jets. That one is interesting because the Jets have been playing a bit better as of late, as has Aaron Rodgers, but I think that stops here. The Rams are definitely I think they're a sleeper team in the NFC. I think that they are looking to win that division. Well, everyone's looking to win the division, but I think they'll probably win the NFC West. They'll get into the playoffs here, and I think they could be a dangerous team for anybody in the first round. They have a solid defense. They can run the ball with Kyron the Siren, go Irish, Kyron Williams, and they can still throw with Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua. And so I think I got the Rams here in this one. The Jets, I'm really disappointed with their defense overall this season. They've had some showings, but overall it hasn't lived up to billing. But it's also hard when you get rid of your coach, Robert Saleh, who's the main defensive guy. The defensive coordinator gets elevated to head coach, so he can't spend as much time with the defense. And as a defense, you're not getting much help from your offense. So it just goes to show, right? When we look back throughout history in the NFL and we look at some of these all-time great defenses, we can look at the 2002 Bucks that won the championship. We can look at the 2000 Ravens that won the championship. We can look at the 2013 Legion of Boom, Seattle Seahawks. You look at all these great defenses, it tells you how great they were to be able to literally carry teams that weren't giving them a whole lot on offense. So even though the Jets have a lot of talent on defense and previously had been really good defensive teams, they're not that good to be able to handle, to carry a bad offense. And especially in this league, anywhere where it's so hard to win without elite quarterback play, you have to be super beyond the pale on defense to be able to carry a team. And the Jets aren't that. So I'm going to go to Rams here. All right. Another divisional matchup, tough one, Philadelphia at Washington. Philadelphia is just chugging along here. The Eagles are playing outstanding football. You can never count out a divisional matchup. Washington is playing really well this year as well, much better than anyone expected. I think I picked them third in the division this year. I had Philadelphia, Dallas, then Washington, then the Giants prior to the season starting. But Philadelphia is looking really good. We saw the passing game clicking last week. See, this is where Philadelphia is dangerous, right? They're an outstanding defensive team, and they can beat you a number of ways offensively. If Saquon manages to get held up like he did last week, I think he only had like 60-some yards rushing, 67, I think. If an opposing team is able to hold up and control Saquon on the ground, then you still have a situation where Jalen Hurts can really let go with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and those guys. He can start throwing the ball all over the yard. I think he threw for like 289, 290 last week. So, Philadelphia's got a lot of weapons and they have a lot of ability. So I'm going to go the Eagles here. I think Washington is just a little bit too young, not ready yet. Oh, okay. I couldn't see it. Arizona and Carolina. Let's go. Arizona here. Carolina is competitive, but I'm going to go in a matchup of Kyler Murray and Bryce Young. I'm going to go with Kyler Murray here. And this might be one of those games where Marvin Harrison Jr. decides he's going to show up and play, which is kind of weird. I don't know what's the deal with him, but I'm going to go with Arizona here on the road. And that's just what I'm going to pick. I think they're just a little better team this year. Carolina, what I do like about them, even though they're losing a lot of games, they're competing. And I think that's the most important thing. They are continuing to compete. Okay, where are we? Minnesota and Seattle. That's a tough one. Minnesota at Seattle. Minnesota is fighting to get that. What is that? They're fighting to, what are they? They have 2 losses on the year, and they're looking to, they're looking to chase down Detroit. So I think they're going to win this game. I don't know if they'll be able to catch Detroit. They might, but I don't think they're going to be able to catch them. But I got Minnesota winning this game at Seattle. I think Brian Flores is just going to have a little too much to throw at Geno Smith and the rest of those guys from the Seattle offense. And I don't know that the Seattle defense, as a matter of fact, I don't believe the Seattle defense is going to be able to deal with the passing attack from Sam Darnold and his weapons of Jordan Addison, and Jefferson. So, yeah, I'm going with Minnesota here. All right. Next, New England at Buffalo. I think this is an easy one. I think Buffalo is going to dismantle them. I like some of what I'm seeing from Drake May in New England. He just, again, doesn't have enough to go around him. Josh Allen is playing out of his freaking mind right now. The MVP race right now is looking like Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. If he being Josh Allen, can continue to play at the insane level he's been playing and not turn the ball over, not only will Buffalo continue to win, he'll probably stay in the lead for the MVP. But if Lamar Jackson, especially having a couple of tough games down the stretch here, if he can have some of those Lamar type games, well, then he's got a legitimate chance of winning his 3rd MVP and his 2nd straight. All right, next, Jacksonville and Las Vegas. Another game with 2 bad teams. I'm just going to take the home team here and Vegas, because even though they're bad, they are trying to compete. They're playing with pride, and they're not rolling over. Antonio Pierce has his guys still out there competing. They're not rolling over. I have no reason for picking this. I'm just going to pick Vegas home game. That's it. San Francisco and Miami. Interesting. Kyle Shanahan, the mentor versus mentee, Mike McDaniels. San Francisco, just so many injuries, but Miami generally does not beat good teams. So even though San Francisco's record isn't good, they're still a solid team. They're well coached. And I think Miami is just too finessed. And I think they are going to get physically punked. And that's a problem. And I think that's going to eventually end up costing Mike McDaniel his job, because Miami just don't have enough of a culture to be a good team, and that their lack of physicality, they're more being finesse, which is really weird, because Mike McDaniels, his thing was being an offensive run guy. He designed some really good run concepts. So a run game coordinator, that's really weird to me, that being that he has a team that's so soft, especially in the trenches. So kind of weird. But yeah, I'm going to go San Francisco here at Miami. They're going to take that and still kind of hanging in there and fighting to try and get a playoff spot. Tampa Bay at Dallas on Sunday night. All right, Baker, touchdown maker. Y'all know what it is. I'm going with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs here. They are going to finish strong to win the NFC South. Baker and the Bucs coming off a 40-point demolition of the number 1 scoring defense in the league last week at Los Angeles Chargers. So I definitely think that Tampa Bay is going to do their thing. Mike Evans is going to get a little closer to having yet another 1,000-yard season to continue to cement his Hall of Fame case. But yeah, Dallas don't really believe in him. Although I can say they have been playing with more fire and they have been competing. and Cooper Rush is doing his thing. And what's his name? Rico Dowdle, the running back that they have. He's playing really well as well. So they might have a diamond in the rough there. But yeah, I'm going with Tampa Bay going into Dallas and getting the win. Finally, Monday night, New Orleans and Green Bay. This is an easy one for me. New Orleans just not good. Green Bay Packers kind of finding their stride right now. They can run the ball. Obviously, with Josh Jacobs, they can run the football really well. And then, of course, you've got that young receiving core, and you got the other gunslinger in the league in Jordan Love. So definitely going to go with Green Bay here. That should be a pretty easy one. Can't see them losing that game, especially not in Lambeau. That's not going to happen. All right, so there's your pick 'em. I got those wrapped up, and yep, that's what we're going to do. Pick 'em goes a lot faster when Transformers not here, huh? All right. Anybody got any comments? Anything you think I got wrong? You know what? I'll open the phone lines up for a minute. If anybody wants to call in, tell me something I got wrong, or give me an idea of something different that you think might happen this week versus what I put out there. I'd love to hear it. So give you about a minute, see if anybody wants to call in. And if not, we will roll right along to the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix Jr. All right, let's get to it. So second topic on the show tonight. Man, the Atlanta Falcons are going to have a new quarterback, and he will be starting this week. I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the Giants-Falcons game, and that is Atlanta quarterback, rookie out of the University of Washington, Michael Penix Jr. So let me tell you why I find this interesting. So first, obviously, we know Kirk Cousins has been around the league for a while, first drafted by the then Redskins, now Washington Commanders. Then after some years there, he went on to Minnesota Vikings, where he's had a solid career, but he's only really had one playoff win. Oh, here we go. Let's go back real quick, and then we'll come back to this. Let's take this call from Bruce. Bruce, what up, man? How you doing?
How you feeling tonight, brother?
Maintaining.
How you feeling, man? Always a pleasure.
No doubt.
I just wanted to let Patrick Mahomes participated in full.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you for the heads up on that.
So
I wouldn't play him though if I'm the
Mahomes,
Chiefs. I wouldn't play him.
One thing about I think he want to play, but Patrick Mahomes. Patrick, I could truly say Patrick Mahomes, one of the one quarterbacks I could think of playing in any era. He's a true dog.
Yeah, he is.
He's cut from a different cloth.
No doubt. But you know what? I think there's a few of those in this era. I think Lamar is clearly one of them. I think Mahomes. I think Josh Allen is one of them. There's a few.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Josh Allen, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? One more. Playing in any era.
One more playing right now could play in any era. Give me a second. Let me run through. Matter of fact, look at all the teams right now. You know who? Joe Burrow.
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. It could be Hurts. Yup. Definitely Burrow.
Say Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And
toughest man.
Yeah. And you know what, too? Real talk. I think you might call me crazy. I think Baker Mayfield could too.
Oh, for sure.
He got that attitude, man.
Yeah. I always was a Baker Mayfield fan. I always liked him. Because he don't give a fuck, man. He don't kiss ass.
No.
He believes in himself.
Yes. He believes in himself and his team. Twice.
Yeah. He believes in himself.
Yeah.
And like I said the other day, Cleveland, that's the biggest mistake they made. They should have never got rid of him.
No.
Impatient. I'm sick of these damn impatient organizations, man. They moving on from coaches too soon. Everything is just too soon. You goddamn, let your bubble sometimes.
That's the society we live in, man. Microwave society. Everybody want everything fast.
Yes, it's instant gratification.
Correct.
I believe they should give I don't care. They need to give what you call him a fair shake, Antonio Pierce. You got to give him a fair shake, bro.
Yeah, he got screwed because they stuck him with no quarterback and a bad GM. So it's like, what was he supposed to do? Because I tell you, he's got a bad team, but those guys still play really hard if you watch it.
They play really hard.
Yeah, they compete,
it would be
man.
a huge mistake if the owner for the Raiders, what's his name?
Mark Davis.
Father. What's the owner for the Ravens' name? God damn.
For the Ravens?
For the Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders. Mark Davis.
Yeah, Mark Davis it'd be a huge mistake if they fire. I won't say it'd be a huge mistake. I just feel like you should give him another chance.
I think so too, but I think the only situation I can see firing him is if you manage to pull off a Dion and Shadur type thing. Like, okay, you do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You do that. But
or get somebody like a Rex Ryan down there.
Oh,
you know?
that's a great call. I like.
What about Herm Edwards?
I don't know about Herm, man. I think he probably would end up I think he would be better than Pierce, but I don't know how well he would do in the modern NFL. And I think you mentioned Rex Ryan. I think Rex Ryan probably fits better going back to the Jets. That would be real good because they have so much defensive talent. Yeah, go ahead.
Who will fit well with the Raiders though? That defensive coordinator for the Vikings,
Flores. Yeah, that's a great one. Yup. Yeah, that's a great idea too.
Remember about 2 or 3 years ago, he gave Lamar that trouble when they was in Miami. They kept blitzing him.
Yeah.
Gave Lamar a huge problem. Speaking on the Ravens game.
Yes.
Real quick before I get off, I'm gonna show love on every subject, but I ain't gonna be too long. You know, let me say this to you real quick, Bruce. You know, you show therapy to me, man, because I'm a loner. I'm a popular loner.
I appreciate that.
I don't talk much. And it's kind of cool that we met, man, because, you know, I get a kick out of it. You know what I mean? Because I don't really talk to people. I'm very antisocial.
I would never have guessed that.
Listen, even though I do be on social media a lot, and I'm a popular loner. Everybody knows me. I got a big family, everything. But I'm alone. I like to be by myself. I don't trust people much. I don't talk on the phone a lot.
I get you.
You know, I don't message other men about sports on Instagram like I do you.
Right.
Like, I really like you. Yeah, I mean, Boo, yeah, you know, me and Boo grew up together. So
facts.
Whoever good with him, good with me.
Facts.
But like I was saying about this Ravens game, that Giants win will not mean anything if we go out here and lay a stinker Saturday. Lamar always has trouble against Pittsburgh. For what reason? Who knows? Well, I guess every team has teams that has their number, or you know, it's like when Lamar played Pittsburgh, like he just be a little bit shaky, a little bit antsy.
Well, what I'll say is this, right? Even though he didn't play well in the last game against Pittsburgh, look how he led that. Look how he led that touchdown drive at the end, right? Yeah. It's just that it was a bad play call for the 2-point conversion. So he didn't play great, but he could have won that game. And a lot of times, if people didn't watch that game, they miss the nuance of that, right? He leads them down. They get that game tying touchdown at the end, or I think they were down by a point, but they get that crucial touchdown right there. And so, you know, bad play call. Maybe he should have audibled, but bad play call on the 2-point conversion. And like we've been saying, if Justin Tucker doesn't miss 3 kicks in that game, Lamar gets that win, right? So, you know, the little things can make a difference. But unfortunately, history generally doesn't remember those things. You really got to dig. So,
yeah. What I was getting ready to say, so Saturday is a big game. If we win, we clinch a playoff spot, so it has significant.
There it is.
We're top of the AFC North if we win. And also, so it's significant going into the playoffs.
Yeah, man.
Huge game. We want to control our own destiny. We don't want to need help at the end of the year. So
right.
We got to go in and handle business.
And I think they will. You know, I don't anticipate them losing both games. And again, we don't need Lamar to play like he played last week against the Giants. You just need him to play well. And like I said, Todd Monken has to show commitment to that run game. He's got to let Derrick Henry tote it 20 times. He has to.
Hey, where the hell Keaton Mitchell at? I thought he was healthy.
That's a good question. I'll have to check. I didn't look. I'm not sure at all.
Well, like, we're gonna get off this phone, but I would say this: anybody would be antsy and jittery with goddamn got to worry about TJ Watt every goddamn play.
That's a fact. That's a fact. That dude always coming.
First Hall of Famer.
Yeah, man, he's a beast.
Game changer. What you call it? Game changer. Game wrecker.
Game wrecker. Yup. Yeah, he is. I agree.
All right, bro. I'm gonna hit you back.
No doubt, man. Appreciate you.
All right, bro.
All right, good call from Bruce, as always. All right, so let's get back to, Falcons quarterback situation. So Kirk Cousins has been freaking terrible as of late. He's just been bad. And so you look at this, and so here was the interesting thing, right? That's what I was doing. I was giving a rundown on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, obviously drafted in the same year as Robert Griffin III in Washington, ends up taking over the job after RG3 gets hurt. Ends up after a few years, he goes to Minnesota, signs a couple of really good deals. Year before, he rips his Achilles, has to go through the rehab for that, ends up in Atlanta. Cool. And Atlanta fit because he knew the scheme, he knew the system. And so he goes down there, and Atlanta, I think, gives him like $100 million guaranteed and like $180 million contract, I believe, over 4 years, which is crazy coming off a torn Achilles, but whatever. So Kirk Cousins, he gets that. He goes to Atlanta. He starts off well. He's got some really good games. One of the games was, I think it was a Monday night game, or either a Monday night or a Thursday night game against the Bucks, where he threw for over 500 yards. And then Kirk Cousins somehow just manages to fall off a cliff, and he's been terrible over the last 5 games. I'm looking up those specific stats, the game logs here. Let's see. So where are we? I want to say over his last 4 or 5 games, he's got like 1 touchdown and 8 interceptions or something like that. It's been really, really bad. And so you're looking and you're saying, man, what is going on with this guy? Let's see. Over the last 5 games, New Orleans lost, 1 interception and no touchdowns. Next game, Denver lost. They got smoked in that game, they being the Falcons. 1 interception, no touchdowns. Next game, Chargers lost, 4 interceptions, no touchdowns. Next game, lost. Minnesota, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. And then finally, they did get a win this past week over the Raiders. We just finished talking about them. But 1 interception, 1 touchdown. So it's been really bad over the last 5 games. Let's look here. And so, you look and you say, man, what is going on with this guy? And basically what ended up happening there is he got benched. Raheem Morris benched him, and they say they're going to go ahead and they are going to go with the young fella, Michael Penix Jr., who I think is an absolute beast. And the good thing is he's getting an opportunity not just to get reps when the season is lost. He's getting an opportunity to get reps when a playoff opportunity, a playoff berth is still on the line. So you like to see that. He's coming in. He's sat and watched for the last, 11 weeks, but he's getting to come in and play when there's still something to play for. So that's really good. So other guys are going to be willing to play. And to me, what that says is not only has Kirk Cousins been playing bad in the games, but you think that if Michael Penix is starting at this point with still a lot to play for, that he's been getting increased reps in practice as the season has gone on, and the coaching staff, they're seeing what he can do and they're seeing what he has done, right? That's where you get your opportunity to play, by making the most of every opportunity in practice and every rep. So it's been announced that he is going to be the starter. So let's hear what Mike Greenberg and the crew had to say on Get Up regarding this topic, and we'll come back and discuss it some more.
Enormous quarterback news from Atlanta. Michael Penix Jr. is the new starting quarterback for the Falcons. Kirk Cousins to the bench. This announced by Coach Raheem Morris last night. Cousins, 9 picks, 1 touchdown pass across his past 5 games. You remember Penix, he led Washington to the national championship game last season. Falcons stunned the world by taking him number 8 overall in the draft. And you may say to yourself, well, why was the world so stunned? Lest you forget, that came after the Falcons on March 11th had signed Kirk Cousins, a 36-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury, to a 4-year, $180 million contract with $100 million guaranteed. If they release him,
got a great agent.
If they release him after this and he does not play for them again, they will have paid him $90 million to play 14 games. Oof. This is the franchise that decided at the last moment they didn't need Bill Belichick's help. I will keep coming back to that. Come on, this is an abject.
There's so many different ways to go. And he managed hey, he just bulldozed right over everything. Michael Penix, young kid, getting his first chance. Kirk Cousins, Achilles recovering. You know what? You know what have fixed all of that? Bill Belichick.
Well, because here's the problem. I hear people, thank goodness. Look how genius it was that they took Penix. After all, they knew what they were doing. They paid the man $100 million guaranteed dollars. And so now you're going to try and tell me, oh, well, this was actually great foresight by the Falcons to have a succession plan.
Well, listen, you can either make a mistake or you can actually get a solution. Like, this move could save their season. So credit to them for at least doing it, getting the insurance policy so that they're in this position, they have somebody to turn to. Does it make up for the contract? No.
Yeah.
But at least they have somewhere to go now.
And I can honestly say, I don't know, and this is no joke. I've played 14 years. I've watched football my entire life. I don't think I've ever seen a player fall off a cliff. The first 9 games to what he's done in these past 5, honestly, I've never seen it tank this bad. And he looks dejected. He looks confused, which you would not think about a guy who's played. He looks like he has no confidence in any. I mean, it's like the last shot of a Roman candle when he thinks, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, but look at, he looks like everything. He has a string attached to everything. He wants to pull it back as soon as he throws it. I've never seen Kirk Cousins look this way. I think it left Raheem Morris no other option, which is disappointing because Atlanta still has a chance of having a home playoff game, which is monumental. But I'm telling you, whatever's going on with Kirk Cousins, I have not seen it before, and it's shocking to me in all honesty.
So this was interesting because, like, I get it that Kirk Cousins has put up a lot of big numbers over different seasons throughout his career, but he is the definition to me, much like Dak Prescott, of what Shannon Sharp calls empty calories, right? Because where are those big numbers when you need them? When? In the playoffs. He has 1 playoff win in his entire career. So it's like, and Dak has 2. So it's like, where are those numbers when you need them most? We always talk about it, man. Legends are made in the postseason. That's where legends are made. So you can put up all the pretty numbers you want to in the regular season. I'm not saying it doesn't mean anything, but people look at it different when you do it in the postseason. And so they bring in Kirk Cousins. They pay this guy this money, and I really didn't get it. So then not only do they do that, they shock the world. They, being the Atlanta Falcons, shocked the world by drafting Michael Penix Jr. at number 8 overall. And again, I thought the guy was an absolute monster. This is some of his highlights from last year at University of Washington. I mean, he's got the arm. He can make every throw. He's way more athletic than people thought. It's just that his scheme is a pure pocket passing scheme. But he put up some really good numbers at the combine. But anyway, the Falcons shocked the world when they drafted him number 8 overall, while just having signed Kirk Cousins. And everyone's like, yo, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And Raheem Morris says, look, we expect to be winning. So we know that we love this guy and we weren't going to have the opportunity in future seasons to be drafting this high. And then also it's quite similar to, they had they have one of the largest coaching staffs in the league. And again, they asked him, why is your coaching staff so big? And he's like, well, we expect to be winning. And we know that when you're a winning program, your assistants get poached and they end up going to other places throughout the league. That throw right there, I love how now the blitz was picked up. You saw the safety blitz coming right down the gun, and that was picked up. But Penix is also really good at just standing in there and delivering and making the throw, kind of like a Shadur Sanders type guy. And I guess the only concern you would have is that he ripped 2 ACLs when he was playing at Indiana. He was at Indiana for 4 years, then he played 2 years at Washington. So, but I mean, he saw it all on the collegiate level, had a ton of starts, had a ton of yards, ton of touchdowns. He saw it all there. And then he had the opportunity now to be in the league, to sit behind a veteran for a number of years. I just found out not too long ago, listening to something else before I got on the air here, Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr., they basically they live down the street from one another. They carpool with each other a lot. And that's cool. I guess Kirk Cousins was being something of a mentor to Penix. Now, we're going to see how cool Kirk Cousins still is, being that he got benched and Penix took his job. We're going to see how cool he is and what type of professional he is. But then you start wondering, okay, if Penix goes on a little run here, gets these guys into the playoffs, maybe plays well and loses or plays well and wins a game, who knows? Who knows what happens there? Because now Kirk Cousins has a no-trade clause, and you still got a lot of money guaranteed to him. If you're the Falcons, do you do like a Russell Wilson in Denver situation and cut him and just eat that money? Arthur Blank is probably not going to want to do that. So you got a lot of financial considerations involved, because what is it? 100 million, is guaranteed. So he's going to get all that money. So it's like, okay, now how do you handle this? Or do you keep this veteran on the bench backing up Penix while Penix goes on to do great things, and you're paying this backup $100 million? I don't know what you do. It's a very interesting situation, but just, watching this, and it's like, I guess the first question, even before the Penix thing, is how did Kirk Cousins just decide he was going to fall off a cliff? Obviously, he didn't decide to fall off a cliff, but the question was, how did that just happen out of nowhere, right? I really don't know. You're watching this thing, and you're like, he started off playing fairly well, and after that, it's just like, I mean, I don't know how you're doing what you're doing, and then all of a sudden you just start throwing pick after pick after pick after pick, and really taking away from opportunities for your team to win football games. And not only are you throwing the picks, you're throwing the picks and you're not throwing touchdowns. Your completion percentage has dropped a great deal. Like everything you're doing. And this is weird because let's see, out of the teams he played in the last 5 weeks, so it's New Orleans, not a great defense. Denver, very good defense. Chargers, very good defense. Minnesota, very good defense. And then the Raiders, bad defense. But they did win that game. So it's like, what's going on here? What happened to Kirk Cousins? But if you're Raheem Morris and you know that your Falcons still have a chance to make the playoffs, still have a chance to win that division, especially by virtue of having swept the Bucs already earlier in the year, you still got a chance to win and get into the playoffs. You got to do everything you can to try and salvage that. And if that means benching a turnover machine, then you bench that turnover machine and get the young buck in there. And clearly he believes Penix is ready. Clearly the rest of the coaching staff believes Penix is ready. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And again, I think they chose this well, right? They could have probably benched Kirk Cousins last week, but why would you do that? And they probably could have benched him a couple games back, right? But you don't want to put the rookie in against really good NFL defenses. So you put him in against the Giants. Hopefully he will feast. If you're Atlanta, he gets his confidence up. He gets to have a really good game against an NFL opponent. And then, that hopefully bodes well for the Falcons and for Michael Penix Jr. going forward. But I think this is, I think this is really going to be interesting. But I like Penix a lot, man. And even if you go back to my shows from last year, Caleb Williams, we know he's got a whole bunch of tools. We know he's got the ability to be great, but I had Penix as my number one quarterback coming out. Just watching that dude. Now, is there some bias because he's left-handed? Yeah, probably a little bit of subconscious bias there. But in all seriousness, watching what that guy was able to do, leading the league, leading the country in passing yardage last year. Granted, it's college, but if just looking at the B-roll that I played not too long ago, there were some passes that Penix just dropped in the bucket that I don't even know if Caleb Williams could make. Let's go back to that. I don't even know if Caleb Williams could make some of these throws that Penix was making last year. Now, I think one of the things they said was that Penix has a bit of an elongated release, like a bit of a windup. So that puts a little bit of extra time on how long it takes for him to get the ball out. But he has got, in my estimation, and again, I'm not a scout, but he's got elite ball talent. He can place the ball in it. Look at that, right in the basket. He can place the ball anywhere on the field from any position on the field. And look at it. Now we see he can throw it on the move. Zoop, right there. Look at that. Laser, right? He threw that on a rope. He knows how to manipulate the pocket so he doesn't have to get out and run. He generally appears to put the football in places where his receiver can go get it. And these are all the things that you talk about when you talk about NFL quarterbacks making those big throws. He can throw outside the numbers, which is, I think, something that a lot of college quarterbacks, tend to have difficulty doing. They have difficulty doing that, but he's got all the arm talent to make all these throws. So I think the key too, if you're now, granted, it's not week 1, it's week 11, but still, if you're the OC for Atlanta, what you also got to do is, hopefully you've been talking to him over these last few weeks. Hey, what's some of the stuff you like? What's some of the stuff you feel comfortable with? And you're also looking at his Washington film and saying, okay, here's some of the concepts that we saw you did really well with. Here's how we can meld some of that to our playbook and to the NFL level, and what we can do. And so I think all of that stuff is important in terms of making your young quarterback feel comfortable and putting your young quarterback in the best possible position to have success, because you didn't draft him that high hoping he's going to fail, because if he does well, eventually you're going to have to pay him. So, and you want him to be the next guy after Kirk Cousins. I don't imagine that you expected Kirk Cousins was going to make it all the way through the 4 years on his deal on a surgically repaired Achilles tendon. So you have this situation here. The Falcons have announced it. You got a new quarterback, and hopefully you won't have to go back to Kirk Cousins, because that is also damaging to a young quarterback's psyche when you put him out there and you let him play, but then he plays poorly. So you got to pull him again and put the veteran back out there. So I think this is a situation where he's out there. You got to let him play through it. If he makes some mistakes, don't be so quick to hook him if he's making mistakes. Because again, I get it. Raheem Morris wants to, he believes that the Falcons still have an opportunity to make the playoffs and still win the division. And I get it. But remember, you made the decision to put this young man out there. So if he's going out there, support him, let him play. He's going to make mistakes. He's a rookie, but it is what it is. You made the decision to put him out there. All right, that's what I got on, the Falcons quarterback situation. So let's go here. I'm going to open up the phone lines again. You know what we do. 219-8264, 904-219-8264. You can go ahead and give us a call and tell me your thoughts on Kirk Cousins getting benched and Michael Penix Jr. getting his opportunity to, I guess, be the guy, to be a starter in the NFL for the first time. And again, I think it couldn't be, well, I suppose there's maybe a couple teams worse than the Giants, but it definitely is an opportunity for him to start against, to feast on the quote unquote little sisters of the poor, right? To play against a team that's not one of the best in the league. So very smart by Raheem Morris and the rest of that coaching staff to choose this time to do it. All right, we're going to wait another minute or two, see if we get anything here. And if not, then we'll go ahead, knock out the last topic, and get out of here. This will be a pretty quick show tonight. But that's okay. Not all the shows got to go 3 or 4 hours, right? Which, as you know, we have done more than once. There we go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and we will move on to the last topic. And that, of course, is we got to talk some NBA here. And man, we're going to talk some NBA. And I'm going to tell you, it's hard for me, man. It's hard for me. Y'all know. Actually, we got a call here. So probably let's go back and take that call. What up, Bruce?
What's going on?
Maintain.
I will genuinely say the Atlanta Falcons, excuse me, that's one of the best decisions that organization has ever made by drafting Penix. Where everybody said it was a bad thing, and it really wasn't. And we said why they got him. Mm-hmm. That was an excellent move by the Atlanta Falcons by even drafting Penix.
I agree.
And I truly believe he's going to shine because he played. Yeah, he like Bo Nix. They played college ball for about 5-6 years.
Right. They played forever. That's a fact.
My thing is, what took him so goddamn long?
Well,
shit.
Excuse me. He ripped his ACL twice at Indiana, and then when his OC Kalen DeBoer from Indiana got the job at Washington, he came and got him and said, "Hey, come over here with me."
Yes. See, guys like that, he gonna be good in a while. He been through stuff. He been through the mud. He been through trials and tribulations.
That's right. He had to work his way back
already. So, and he played in big games. He played in some huge.
That's
games.
right. He played in national championship game. He played in conference championship games. Absolutely.
Those games he played in college, they were like NFL games. Everybody you played with in them big games was in the league down there now.
That's right. Absolutely. Yup. Yeah, no doubt.
So long about benching Kirk Cousins, man.
So Kirk Cousins was playing well up until the New Orleans game. That's when he dropped off and just started playing terribly. But also, again, I think so the last 5 games were, I don't know if you heard it, New Orleans, Denver, the Chargers, the Vikings, and the Raiders. So at what point do you put the rookie in and not be like feeding him to a really good defense? You know what I'm saying? The only one you might could have done was the Raiders, right? I wouldn't have put him in against Minnesota and Flores. That would have ate him alive. Wouldn't have put him in against the Chargers, Harbaugh and Jesse Minter. Wouldn't have done that. That would have ate him alive. Wouldn't have put him in against Denver and that defense, Vance Joseph. That would have ate him alive. So I think that this was a perfect spot to do it because he's going to be playing against the Giants this week. So that's a perfect spot to do it where you're getting. Sorry?
I said, absolutely. That's the perfect spot.
Yeah, so I think that's what they waited for.
Okay. Great point you made. But how could you say that, man? Penix is good. That he would have struggled against those other tough teams.
Well, just because he's a rookie and they can throw things at him schematically on defense that he may not be ready for. That's all. Not that he don't have the capability. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so you trying to say those big games he had in college were against pro-style defenses?
It was, but not to this level, right? Like think about this. Bill Belichick was known for eating young quarterbacks alive, like first 3 years quarterback. And think about it. Who Robert Flores cut his teeth under? Belichick, right?
Belichick.
He got 3 rings with Belichick. He was his defensive coordinator, I think, for 2 of them. So similar type of thing. Jesse Minter, you know where Jesse Minter came from.
Yes.
Okay. So we know he can coach some defense. Vance Joseph, we know he can coach some defense. So it's not taking a shot at Michael Penix Jr. because I think he's great and I think he's going to be great. It's just he's a rookie and you don't want to throw him directly into the fire with gasoline drawers on. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you can't say it can happen. They threw Robert Griffin Jr. the third in the fire. Look what he did his rookie year.
Well, I think the difference is because he started right away, right? So,
okay, true.
Yeah, I think that's the only difference. And remember, he got drafted number 2 overall. So you draft a guy that high, he kind of generally he's going to start right away. But I think Penix could have started right away. But let's look at it this way, right? If he had started right away, who's he open up against? That same guy we talked about earlier, TJ Watt, Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Game 2, Philly, right? Game 3, Spagnuolo in Kansas City, right? Game 4, okay, New Orleans. Game 5, Tampa Bay and Todd Bowles, that defense, right? So he would have had a lot of tough sledding to go through. Game 6 would have been Carolina. Okay, cool. Game 7, Seattle, Mike McDonald, right? So, you know, he dealing with a lot of difficult defenses. What's that? After then Tampa Bay again, then Dallas, who's that? Zimmer. So he would have been dealing with a lot of long time, very, very good defensive coordinators. So I think, you know, you continue to let him practice. You keep increasing his workload, his reps. You're checking his understanding of the playbook, and you're watching what he's doing in practice. And clearly they saw that he's ready, and it doesn't hurt that Kurt started playing like crap. And again, they've got a bad opponent this week. So I think it all falls in line perfectly.
Okay, I got you. Well, yeah, you already know that Kirk Cousins always tailed off at the end of the year or don't play well in big games in the playoffs.
Facts.
So, yeah, man. All right, man. I call him on the next one.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you, brother.
All right, Chad.
All right, man. All right, Bruce with the great call, always. All right. So, final topic, man. So, new NBA All-Star Game format. So, this is frustrating to me. Why is it frustrating to me? Because anybody who knows me knows, man, I have loved basketball my entire life, man. When I remember before like DVR and before streaming and all that. When I was in high school, like early to mid 90s and all that, right? And that was around the time when you had NBA on NBC, and especially like during playoff times and towards the end of the season, you would have double and triple headers on NBC. Games start at noon and the games don't go off until like midnight. And I used to love that so much, right? Because you get the Eastern Conference game, then you get one on the East Coast and you get one in the Central, then you get a West Coast game, and sometimes quadruple headers. And anyway, I used to love that. And so this is back in the day we had VCRs. I used to program the VCR, right? So I come home and I could watch the games and rewind them and watch them over and over again, right? Obviously no DVR, none of that, no streaming. Cool. So VCR. But the point is, that's how much I loved basketball. Like I would just record all these games and I would watch them. I'd be exhausted in school because I'm staying up watching college basketball, ESPN, Big Mondays, watching Allen Iverson in the Big East playing against Kerry Kittles or Ray Allen playing against John Wallace up at Syracuse and all that. I loved basketball so much. Like football was cool. I loved football too, but I loved basketball the most. And so the reason Laker Nation was good, my man, was good. Good to see you. And so the reason I'm so frustrated, and I talk about this regularly right here on this show, the reason I'm so frustrated whenever I got to talk basketball is because people say, especially younger people who are basketball fans, they say, oh, I'm just an old head hater. I'm always trying to hate on the new generation. I don't understand that the game has changed and evolved. And I'm like, all that can be fine. All that can be fine. The game has changed and evolved. Cool. It's a new game. Cool. It's a new generation. Cool. All that. But that doesn't mean the product is better. And it's killing me because the game that I love so much for so many years is just, it's just a pale shadow of what it once was. It's just a poor imitation of itself. And so I don't think anybody who didn't grow up in that era, like you can go back and watch on YouTube or whatever, but if you didn't grow up in that era, the feeling of what the NBA on NBC was, watching, for instance, the Bulls and the Knicks, going at each other in the playoffs, and or the Knicks and the Pacers, or the Bulls and the Pacers, or you know what I'm saying, or the Nuggets and the Warriors, or something like that, Phoenix and the Rockets, right? These type of matchups with all those all-time great players from back then, and it was such a different feeling. And I can say that even though I love basketball as an idea now, especially when it comes to the NBA, that feeling is gone. The feeling is not there anymore. And I'm not the only person that feels that way, right? If you talk to a lot of people my age and maybe a little younger or a little older, all of them is going to tell you that the feeling is gone. And a big part of it is because of the way the game is played now, the way the game is officiated now. These guys, the modern players, even though a lot of them have a lot of ability, this seemingly total disregard for competition and a lack of competitive fire and intestinal fortitude. Like the young players now, they'll tell you they have it, but if you look and compare it, it's not nearly the same. And I don't expect them to be the same. Why? Because they grew up in a different time under different conditions, and I understand that, but they don't have it, and it's not the same, and it doesn't feel the same. So anyway, I'm saying all this to say that, and I think I did a show on this maybe a few weeks back or a month ago, and at the time it was just being broached, but now the NBA has announced that there will be a new All-Star game format, and I'm still trying to get an idea of exactly how it works. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a video here that's going to kind of explain it, and then after explaining it, Kevin Durant, one of the better players of all time, I have him as a top 20 guy, probably somewhere between top 15 and top 25. Now, I've never actually sat and properly laid out my second 10, but I think Kevin Durant is clearly somewhere between 15 and 25. I think he's in there. But the point I'm trying to make is he's an all-time great player, all-time great player, easy first ballot Hall of Famer, all-time great scorer, all of that. And he had some interesting comments to make regarding this new All-Star game format. So let's check out the video, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
New NBA All-Star game format, it has been confirmed. So there will be 3 teams of All-Stars with 8 players each and the Rising Stars winners. Okay, you got all that? There will be 2 semifinal games up to 40 points and then a championship game with each player on the winning team getting $125,000. Hey, Kevin Durant, how do you feel about this change?
I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Really terrible. All-Star game, formats changing. All the formats terrible in my opinion. And we should just go back to East-West and just play a game. I think we've been trying to bring that flair back somehow with the All-Star weekend, but I think we just keep it traditional. But we'll see how this one works. You never know. I might be wrong. I'm just another guy with an opinion.
So, sorry if that was a little loud when it first came on, but the point is, KD, again, all-time great player, he says he hates it. And he's saying that, we keep trying to change the formats for the All-Star game and all these different things. Why do you think they keep trying to change the format? Because people don't care about the All-Star game anymore. Because it doesn't give you that feeling, again, because these guys don't want to compete, right? So now they're at this point, they're throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. And this may seriously end up being a situation like the NFL Pro Bowl, where if they can't get guys to play and they can't put out a good product, that it's going to end up going away. Now, let's look at this, right? If you remember, and I think a lot of people who watch this show are kind of in my age range, a little older, a little younger, right? They kind of skew that way, probably between generally about 30. My analytics say generally about 30 to 55 is my general age range. So if you remember back in the day, the glamour event of All-Star Weekend was what? The slam dunk contest. Like the 3-point shootout was cool, but it wasn't the glamour event. The glamour event was the slam dunk contest. What happened to the slam dunk contest? Gee, get ready to call me a hater. Cue it now. LeBron James ruined it. Yes, LeBron ruined it. How did LeBron ruin it, Bruce? Stop hating on that man. You wake up every morning hating on another black man. You just looking for a reason to hate on LeBron. Yeah. So check it out. LeBron came into the league 2003, never competed in a slam dunk contest. But what did that do? It's one thing that he didn't. But prior to LeBron, if you were an ultra-athletic, high-flying wing-type player, and to the point you even had some power forwards and centers competing in the slam dunk contest. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you were that type of player, it was almost incumbent upon you to compete in the slam dunk contest, because that's what all those type of players did prior to you. But LeBron comes in, LeBron doesn't do it, never did it, which I thought was so weird, because then he would be in like freaking layup lines doing all these dunk contest worthy dunks and whatnot. Personally, I think he was afraid. I think he was afraid under the bright lights where there's nobody to pass to and make the right basketball play, right? Nobody pass to. Under the bright lights, the whole world is watching you. You got to go complete these dunks. I think he was afraid to fail. And part of being great is not being afraid to fail. If you fail, you fail, but you can't have fear of that moment. But anyway, I think that's a big part of why he never competed in the dunk contest, because I know early on in his career, I know this for a fact. I was told this by someone who knows. Sprite was desperately trying to convince him. Nike was desperately trying to convince him. Why? Because the guys that came before him that represented those brands and were those type of elite athletic NBA players, all those guys competed in the dunk contest. But anyway, LeBron never wanted to do it. So what happened there? He wields a lot of influence in the league, so he made it popular for the next guys who came after him, who were those type of players, to not compete. And I'm talking about big name guys, not like Zach LaVine or Aaron Gordon, who put on a couple of the best dunk contests we've ever seen. But regardless, he made it popular. We don't see the big time elite athlete guys do it anymore. And so he, in my estimation, is directly responsible for that. Now, is it direct causation? Maybe not, but there's clearly a correlation, right? Now, to me, I think he's directly responsible. Some people may say he's not. They're going to say all them other guys could have done what they wanted to do. But again, influence is a real thing. So anyway, so we saw that part of All-Star Weekend go down the tubes, the dunk contest. It really hasn't been the same because it lacks the star power. And then in addition to that, with the way the game has changed and the three-point shot now being the primary weapon, to a fault, if you ask me, now we've seen the three-point shootout become the glamour event of All-Star Weekend, right? So we've seen that. And, I mean, it's cool. I watch it. I want to see it, but it's not like back in the days when we had those great dunk contests. But now we get to the game itself. For instance, last year, because for years now we've been seeing just such a lack of interest, such a lack of even attempting to compete, to defend, to do anything. Everyone is just wanting to come across and shoot threes, or Guys are just going down the lane and just dunking. And again, no one's saying that you have to play the All-Star game like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals, man. But back in the day, dudes used to try. They really did, you know? And now you don't see anything. It got to the point that the two teams scored a combined 400 points last year in the All-Star game. And I remember at the end, when Adam Silver gave the trophy, he literally said, well, you scored the most points, so I guess you won. I mean, it's that bad. Prior to the game, he had, I think, Oscar Robertson, Dr. J, and Larry Bird going into the locker rooms, like asking these guys to play hard. What is that? What is that? You have to ask professional players who've been voted in by the fans and who make hundreds of millions of dollars to play hard in the All-Star game, to give the fans a show. Those very fans are the ones that make it possible for you to make the money you're making, but you don't even care enough about them to give the effort to give a show. And so you see this and you're saying, damn, like, this is just a terrible product. So remember, a couple of years ago, we saw the All-Star game go to this what is it? They try to make it like a pickup game with the two leading vote getters from each conference picking their teams, and then they televise the quote unquote All-Star draft or whatever, try to make it like a pickup game. Like, okay, that didn't really work. They try to come with this freaking Elam ending crap. That didn't work. So they're coming up with all this stuff, trying to throw it against the wall, see what sticks. And at the end of the day, it's just freaking terrible, man. It's freaking terrible because most of these guys don't want to compete. They don't want to put in the work. They just want to collect a check that they haven't earned. And it really freaking sucks. And it's bad for the consumer. But guess what? They don't care because the TV revenue checks keep coming. $76 billion. $76 billion. Laker Nation says All-Star Weekend went downhill with all the gimmick changes. On day 2 is fine, but keep the East versus West format. That's what people want to see. I agree, but I get it. Adam Silver's like, man, we got to try something because what we got now is not working and it's freaking horrible. Yeah, no, good point. Same with rookies versus sophomores. Yeah, you're right. Laker Nation, man, I don't disagree with you at all, but I'm just saying Adam Silver's looking at it like we can't force these guys to play hard. There's probably, we can't afford the amount of money it would take to incentivize them to play hard because all these guys who are all-stars are easily making over $100 million, all of them, right? So it's really tough, man. And at the end of the day, these guys don't care. They don't have it in it to compete. They don't want to do it. You can't force it. So now what do you have to do? You have to figure out, to your point, Laker Nation, you have to figure out some type of gimmick to try and make it better and try and put out some sort of product that people may be interested in. So this year, I guarantee the All-Star game ratings are going to go up. Why? Because it's something totally new, never seen before. People are going to want to watch it for 1 year, see how it works, and then they're going to be like, oh, this is crap. And they're not going to watch it again after that. It's just bad. It's just bad. Yeah, well, Laker Nation, being an all-star means a pay raise. Yes and no, right? There's generally, I think, incentives in the contracts for making an all-star team. But I think I heard Rick Bucher say that being an all-star gets you like $150,000, $200,000, $150,000 or $200,000 bonus, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess, a lot of us would love to get $150,000 or $200,000 bonus, right? But to them, that's nothing when a lot of these guys are making $30, $40, $50 million a year. So it's just tough. It's not that serious. You're 100% right, man. All-Star Weekend did used to be epic, and I remember it. And I don't want to go back into the whole back in my day. I don't want it to be that, but it was way better back in my day. And I'm not just saying that because in all seriousness, if it wasn't, they wouldn't need to be trying to come up with all this crap just to make it viable or make it palatable. It's just bad. So let's hear the Odd Couple, Rob Parker and Kelvin Washington, were actually discussing this topic, and let's hear what they had to say. But be warned, Rob Parker is about to go in, and rightfully so.
Not only is this terrible Boulder Dash, poppycock, and all the other stuff I could say and how awful this is set up, but let me say this right here. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is the worst commissioner in sports. You hear me? The worst commissioner in sports. I have no idea what he's trying to do. This is not soccer. We don't care about all this you're trying to steal from what they do in Europe. Stop with all the changes and trying to be cute. You just heard Kevin Durant. East, West, let's have a basketball game. For God's sakes, what is this? And I say he's the worst commissioner because he has coddled the players. They have overrun him. Do you remember last year? He sent Dr. J and Larry Bird into the locker rooms and asked the players to play hard. Let's have a game this year. And guess what? The final score was over 200 at each side. How embarrassing. That was them rubbing it in his face, telling him, be quiet, old man. No. We'll do what we want to do. And here's the worst part. There's no way he is the commissioner who has allowed the players to ruin the league. He's the guy. Load management. You think David Stern would go for load management? You think the networks are happy with the NBA product? Obviously, fans aren't. They've lost, 24%? Half of their viewership in the last couple of years? That's not by accident. And you can't say it's a trend in sports. You know why? Baseball, attendance is up and ratings are up. Football, ratings are up. Of the big three, the only one that's suffering is the NBA. And it's not because there's some trend going on in sports. It's because the NBA product is total garbage, and this All-Star game format is terrible. As Kevin Durant said, it's garbage. Just stop the game. Forget the game. Do what the NFL did when they realized that the Pro Bowl was old, outdated, and no one was interested in it, and nobody wanted to play in it. They just said, forget about it. That's what they need to do here.
That's when the bombs were dropped, the Funk's Flex bombs. All right, look. Here's the issue. There's multiple issues here. And Adam Silver has gotten a lot right, but where he's getting this wrong is a multitude of things. Number one, you've made so many changes over the last 7-8 years, even if you did make changes, because ultimately I get that, right? We've seen that in baseball, make some changes. We've seen that in NFL. Can you stick with one? Can we let one, even if you feel the need to make the change, well, let the change breathe, Rob. We started one where it was all right, you draft players. You get a guy on each side, you draft. Okay, it's the first to a certain amount of points in the fourth quarter. Okay, now it's going to be East, West again. Even if you're going to change it, stick with the change. Let it build. Let the momentum grow. You keep changing. You keep changing. You keep changing. And that's a sign of a person that's panicking, right? We change. We figure out, okay, we got to do this. We got to do that. Just get back to hooping. Just get back to hooping when it's just man-o-man, mano-we-mano, and that's all that we need. Roll the ball out. Let's go. We're going to put on a show. You know who I didn't need to tell this to? Jordan. You know who I didn't need to tell this to? Isaiah Thomas. You know who I didn't need to tell this to? Bird and Magic. They went out there, they hooped, they put on a show.
Those guys are 100% right. They're 100% right. And I can understand Rob's frustration. Rob is probably about 15 years older than me, and he covered the NBA, live. He always talks about how he was on the baseline sitting down covering it in Cleveland when Michael Jordan hit that shot over Craig Elo in Game 5 to win it, right, where he hung in the air. He caught it, dribbled right to the center, pulled up around the free throw line, hung in the air, and hit that mid-range jumper to win the series. And so he's been around. He knows when the NBA was great, and he was covering that. And so to see what it's become now, and again, to see them trying to come up with all this other nonsense, all that does is basically let everyone know the state that the league is in. Now, every successful business tweaks things over time, right? You can't leave things exactly as they always were. You have to continue to move forward. But this is not tweaking things over time. This is desperately trying to figure out something that can bring these viewers back. And it's harsh, man. And Laker Nation made a great point. A lot of people would say, well, streaming makes a difference, but they've actually figured out a way to incorporate the streaming numbers into the ratings. And then he says, well, the NFL has the same streaming services and people are still in tune. And that's a fact. The NFL is printing money. The NFL just continues to rise in its viewership. Baseball, which I personally feel is like the most boring spectator sport, it's gone up. So clearly the problem is with the NBA. Clearly the problem is with the athletes. Clearly the problem is with the play style, and it's all bad. But as long as the TV money keeps coming in and keeps going up, the NBA can act like they care, but I don't think they really do. Like last episode, remember I talked about it, and I played that clip from Rick Bucher, and he was saying the dirty little secret that he found out was that the NBA really isn't bothered that much by steadily by decreasing TV ratings, because at the end of the day, the streamers or the TV networks or whoever, they will continue to pay just to make sure someone else doesn't have it. They will continue to pay just to have that content. So even though the numbers are going down and down and the product is clearly not as good, and they know that, they don't appear to be that worried about it. At the end of the day, I thought, and I said this a few episodes back, that the way to fix this, or at least make it better to some extent, is to make it so that the winner of the All-Star game gets home court advantage in the finals for their conference. That's the only way I think that people are going to play hard. That's the only way, because I think most of the All-Stars come from playoff teams. Not in every case, but most of them. So that's me. It's not that serious. It says you can't spoil a child rotten for years and turn around and punish them. Absolutely. You've been letting them get away with murder. And here's the other thing, right? He's acting like he cares, he being Adam Silver. And I do believe he's the worst commissioner in sports, because you can't consistently, try to be the buddy and then, try to firm up things. You can't. And David Stern never tried to be people's buddy. He was like, I'm here on a mission and I'm going to complete my mission. Now, don't get me wrong. David Stern became the commissioner, I want to say, in either 1984 or 1985, which was just the perfect timing, right? Michael Jordan came into the league in 84. Larry Bird and Magic were already in their prime, so the league was on its way back up. Elijah Wan came in 84. John Stockton, Karl Malone comes in 85. Charles Barkley comes in 84. Basically, most of the dream team came into the league right around the same time. The league is on its way up. So basically, he had to just continue to be a steward for the league's advancement and the league's continual uprising. And so he came in at a perfect time. But don't get me wrong, it still took the right person and the right leader to help to continue to make that grow. But now Adam Silver, he's just too soft. He's too much, in bed with the players. I don't understand it, because he doesn't work for the players. He works for the owners as a commissioner. But again, I guess the owners are happy because the money keeps coming in. So it's just really bad, man. And I don't want to blame everything on the players. Like, load management often is not their fault. A lot of times it's the organization really pushing that on them. But I really would think that if you're a star or a big name player, the organization can't make you sit if you don't want to. If you want to get out there and play, you're going to go get out there and play. So, I mean, that's just me. But I don't know. The mentality today is so different. And it's sad because it's really hurting the game. So we'll see what happens as things go forward. And like I said, I do believe that the numbers for the All-Star game this year will spike again, because it's something totally new that we've never seen before. And people are going to have that curiosity, like, what's going on here? What's this? But after this year, if they keep it, they'll see it go right back down, because this is just crap, man. At the end of the day, I know I've been getting in trouble for asking why since I was a little kid, but realistically, why can't it just be East versus West like it always was? And why can't guys play hard? And why can't guys compete? That's it. And if you want to be real, LeBron got a lot to do with that, not just with the slam dunk contest, but in the general lack of competitive fire across the NBA on the whole. But, I'll leave it there. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and this is the final topic. Put the phone number in the chat, 904-219-8264. And of course, it's scrolling, across the bottom of your screen. So anybody that wants to call in, give me your thoughts on this. We'll get those, and then we will get up out of here, man. It's been a quick 3 topics, but I definitely think we talked about some good stuff. But yeah, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on the new NBA All-Star Game format. If you have any ideas as to who's responsible for the downtrodden state of NBA All-Star Weekend in the modern era, or just thoughts about what could be done to fix it, whether the game itself or the slam dunk contest or what, how we can try to incentivize guys to play hard. Realistic suggestions, right? Because I get what you're saying, Laker Nation, when you say players are getting paid too much, role players making $50 million. I get it, but the fact is, as long as the salary cap keeps rising and the TV money keeps rising, you can't not have salaries increase commensurate with those things, right? Because then owners are just going to continue to make tons and tons of money, while the guys that are really out there, putting their bodies out there, they're not getting their fair share. And we can't have that, right? So what is it? I think 51% of revenue goes to the players. According to the CBA, I think it's 51%. So it's going to keep rising as long as income keeps rising. So you can't have it that way. But yeah, that's what we got, man. Like I said, I'm pretty disgusted overall with the state of the NBA, because not because I'm a hater, but because I loved it so much. I love that sport. I love that game, and seeing what we got, man, it hurts. But let's go ahead and take this call. Laker Nation, what's good, my man?
It was good.
Maintain it.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
What you got, brother?
Man, I ain't watching this crap. This sounds like it's gonna be a train wreck, man. It sounds like you going to an AAU tournament.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I think they're just, at this point, they're just, they're trying everything they can to attempt to increase some interest in this thing, but it's just bad, man. It's just bad. But they have to do something. They got to try.
Man, if you got to try this hard, that means
yes, I agree.
It's done.
It's bad, man.
I mean, it starts it starts with the back end. You can't let the inmates run the asylum.
No, you can't.
You can't let the inmates run the asylum. But number two, you gotta look at if you gotta do all this extra just to get your players to compete, which this is not going to do. Just do away with the All-Star game altogether.
Yeah, it just shows that there's a big problem with basketball culture on the whole.
It's what? It's like, don't get me wrong, there's certain matchups that players actually want to compete against each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you gotta have that bad blood. You
mm-hmm.
gotta have those guys that want to go out there and knock each other's heads off.
Facts.
Like the cup, for some reason, Giannis and Dame played like they wanted that shit.
Well,
hey. And like the storyline, SGA hasn't beaten Giannis only once in his career.
I did not know that. Okay, wow.
He's 1-8 against Giannis in his whole career.
Okay,
that's the storyline. That's what sells.
Right. You gotta have the story, no doubt.
You gotta have the storylines. You can't just pound the same story every day, all day. You're gonna get what's called. It's gonna be fatigue. You don't fatigue out your fans. They're getting tired of hearing the same things over and over again. You can't run the same story.
Facts.
You gotta, Jimmy Butler just had a triple-double the other day. It didn't make big news.
Whose brother?
I said Jimmy Butler.
Oh, Jimmy Butler. Okay. Nope. Didn't even hear about it.
Triple-double, that's what builds interest. Like, NFL does a great job of that. They build interest in their fans. Like, okay, Patrick Mahomes, who's going to knock them off?
Mm-hmm.
And, can the Ravens do it this week? Well, and they built that storyline to make you care.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what they got to get back to. Because back in the day, the 90s and 2000s, even into the 2010s, the NBA was good at doing those stories. They were like Kobe's retirement that whole season, and then you have the Warriors killing the league at that time. Man, that was good story. That's what made everybody love that season.
That's right.
That we haven't had a season like that since 2016.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing I feel like the NBA is missing, is what they need to get back to. It's building those stories.
So you know what I just thought about, and you have a great point, but what I just thought about, if you allowed more physical defense, it would naturally recreate some rivalries, because dudes would be putting a hurting on each other back in the day, and it would create some animus. And if you have animus, dudes are going to go harder at each other when they play each other. And now that's going to create more natural built rivalries. So part of taking away the defense, legislating that out, softening up the game, dudes don't have animus towards one another, and it takes away that rivalry. You know what I'm saying? And so but I mean, they'll never put the real defense back. They'll never do it, because these players today would get exposed, and then everyone would know that everything they've been pushing all these years has been a lie, and they can't have that.
Well, you probably ain't gonna see that till you get a new commissioner, but you can blame the Malice of the Palace for that.
I don't even think I'm blaming the Malice at the Palace for that. I just think it's a simple thing of they want more points because they believe that everybody wants to see more points. And if you're good enough, score more points. But we shouldn't have to change the rules for you to get it. But that's a whole different thing. But you got anything else, Laker Nation? I'm sorry.
Remember around that time, it was like the NBA was still growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were trying to get more sponsorship,
mm-hmm.
and you know, we had those Knicks Heat battles.
Yeah.
That Pacers team.
Mm-hmm.
That year, if that Malice of the Palace didn't happen, you know, Reggie probably would have got a ring that year because they were fucking stacked.
Yes.
I don't even think the Lakers would have beat them that year. They were stacked.
Mm-hmm.
But
mm-hmm.
that Malice of the Palace kind of killed that. But it was a national televised game.
Yeah, that didn't help.
In the stands with the fans.
Uh-huh.
Everybody was watching, and ever since then, the NBA was more concerned with cleaning up their image.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Remember, they were comparing the NBA to UFC and the WWF,
which is ridiculous, but no, I get it.
So they were trying to clean it up, and I believe that's around the time. I think David Stern was still a commissioner at the time. Again.
Yeah,
I think Adam Silver came in a little bit after that.
I think he came in probably around the time LeBron went to the Heatles. I think somewhere around that time frame.
I can't remember when he came in, but it was shortly after. It wasn't too long after that season.
Let's see.
That he came in. But the NBA is not totally lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the young guys don't know no better. You know, and you know, they're trying to which any business, you know, you're trying to attract younger viewers because them the ones that's going to keep your business going into the future. The young guys don't care.
Right.
It's a diehard NBA fans that's used to the 2000s, the 2010s, the 90s, and 80s, and look at it now like, oh man, I ain't waste my time with this.
Right.
I'd rather watch. Let's say baseball's on. You know, or they'll watch something else.
No, you're right.
But that's one thing I just think. I just think they need to put the stories back in, make the fans care, and build those rivalries back up, and you know, have these players go at each other. So that's what people want to see. And I'm going to leave with this. I remember one guy I heard a fan say, he was like, I'm speaking as a fan. He was like, I really don't care about the X's and O's. I don't care about basketball terminology. When I get off work and turn on my TV going again, he was like, all I want to see is big guys, those guys jumping from the free throw line, dunking on each other.
Right.
Doing flashy passes to make me say, oh my God. You know, he was like, that's what I wanted.
Right.
And I'm like, it had me thinking like, you got people out there that really don't know basketball, and you got a lot of people that really don't care about that. X's and O's. They just want to be entertained.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Going down court and shooting, missing threes, and you go down court, the other end they miss a three, and go down court, they miss a three, go down court, they miss a three. That's not entertaining. That's going to bore the hell out of the casual fan.
I don't know. Apparently, the casual fan likes it because they're still doing it. But at some point, it got to change. By the way, Adam Silver became the commissioner in 2014.
Oh, so 10 years later.
Yeah.
10 years.
I'm surprised it took that long.
Because that was the 04-05 season. The season after the Pistons won the championship.
Correct. That's right.
Yeah,
I think that was Reggie's final season, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
Shit, I probably would have retired too after that because that team was stacked. if they weren't going to win the championship, they were going to make it to the finals. It's going to be them and the Pistons duking it out again in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Because that Pacers team was that to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a very good team.
They had a very good team. And then all the suspensions kind of killed both of them.
Yeah. But
I'm gonna let Bruce number 2 call because I know he's waiting.
Yeah, I know he's waiting. Yeah.
I just wanted to give my 2 cents.
No doubt, man. I appreciate the call. Thank you, Laker Nation.
No problem.
All right, fam. All right, Bruce, go ahead, give us your call, man, and then we'll get up out of here after that. But yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I do feel like there's gonna come a point where the NBA All-Star Game is probably gonna end up going the way of the NFL Pro Bowl. These guys, I don't know. There's something wrong with them. Bruce, what up?
I totally agree. How you doing, brother?
Maintain.
Hey, what's up, Danny?
Yeah, what up,
I totally agree. Adam Silver is the worst commissioner of all time.
Terrible.
He is like he's scared. He's not stern.
No, he's not.
There's no law and order.
None.
The inmates are running their asylum.
Yes, which is crazy.
Got that money.
That's crazy though, because you call it, the commissioner of a sports league is supposed to work for the owners, not the players. So I can't understand how they have so much control. That's really weird to me. What?
Well, the inmates running the asylum in the NBA right now. It's like the owner is like the weak husband in the house that the woman is running over in the house. They ain't got no respect for them. They doing what they want to do. They making the rules. They determining when they want to stop playing and low man is want to get traded. As far as the All-Star game, it's laughable.
You breaking up? Say it again, man.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it just out of curiosity. I truly believe the only way the All-Star game will get better, I guarantee this is only going to last 1 year. It's going to go back to the old format after this year. I think this is just the lesson they're trying to teach. Like, y'all want to play hard? That's something different then. and like Rob Parker said, like, why are you getting cute? Like, he's scared. Oh my God, man. God.
I know you feel about it how I feel about it, man. I know you're hurting because I know you love the game. I know how much you love the game, and I know this is hurting you. You know.
God bless Rob Parker, man. He when he speaks, it's law. That's why they fired him from ESPN. He said that about RG3 years ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know that was necessary. Anyway, that's a different story. But
yeah, that's what the story I'm saying.
I totally.
His word is law. When Rob Parker speaks, 100% of the time is law.
Well, I definitely agree with him on this one. I definitely do.
The All-Star game is a joke. It's gonna go back to the old format. The only way it's gonna get better is if the play. It's got to be from the players. They got to encourage. Like they got somebody. They got to go to each other. They got to be like an oath. Like we gonna play ball. Like they got to be. Like, it's on them. It ain't knowing nothing else. They ain't like they're gonna play harder on this new format. Like what difference is going on?
Like I said, I think personally the only way these guys are going to play hard is if you put the home court for the NBA Finals at stake in the All-Star. I think that's the only thing you can do because they all make so much money. $125 like okay, so you know what I'm saying. That's couch.
Yeah.
That's couch change to them. You know what I'm saying? So,
I disagree with you on one thing, Bruce.
Okay, what you got?
I can't blame LeBron for the dunk contest, and you can't blame. He's a part of the blame. He's not all of it.
Okay, that's fair.
He is part of it because he did promises one year he was going to get in it, and he didn't. Next year, he flaked this out. I was mad about that. Like,
I knew he wasn't going to do it. I knew he wasn't going to do it.
I believe he was a pussy for that. All great high flyers into the dunk contest.
Exactly.
That's the only thing, man. That's the only thing I hold it. One thing I hold it. So why not get the dunk contest? What you scared of?
You know what he's scared of? He's scared of being all by himself under those bright lights with the whole world watching. He can't dish it off and say he made the right basketball play to avoid it. If he messes up, it's all on him, and there's nobody to blame. That's what he's scared of. Real talk.
Nah, you can't say that. How many breakaway dunks he done had by himself?
No. Come on. That's no. That's very different. You know that. That's within the flow of a game. That's not. No. That's totally different. Come on, man. You know that's not the same thing. You know that's not the same thing.
You think he was afraid of failure, yo?
Yeah, I believe so. I really do.
See, Michael Jordan and Dominic Wilkins, they took pride in that shit.
Took pride.
Back in the day.
Vince Carter, Steve Francis, Kobe Bryant, Larry Nance, Dr. J. Like, we go down the line. You know what I'm saying? Freaking Nate Robb. It's a lot of dudes. Isaiah Ryder. A lot of dudes.
Yeah.
So you know.
Well, hey, we gotta wait and see how this thing go, man. The dunk contest is trash now.
I think they just need to do away with it.
I anticipate the 3-point contest more than the dunk contest.
Yeah. And it's sad that it's that way, but yes, you're 100% right. You're right.
All right, man. I'll check in with you, man, next time, brother.
All right, Bruce. I appreciate the call as always, fam.
All right, champ.
All right, man. All right, team. Well, we're going to leave it right there. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe on the way out if you haven't already. Make sure you're sharing the show. Really appreciate all y'all being here, man. Y'all have a great one, and we out. Peace.